Welcome back to another episode of Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio from beautiful Cape May, New Jersey, and also streaming live on Facebook. Welcome. Oh my goodness, Mary Esch is here. Hello. Mary Esch used to be my boss. Poor woman. But welcome everybody in the Facey chat. Dwayne, Mike, David, Antonio, welcome. Welcome to Money Talk with Melanie. So happy to be here. My guest is Dr. Stephen Jones. He is an educational consultant as well as an author. He's authored several books, not the least of which is one entitled Ultimate Scholarship Guide. And it is a great book and just some information that we need. Hello, Chris Gaines from Iowa. I want to give a shout out to Chris Gaines for just 1 second, who is a faithful listener and shows up in the Facebook Live. But I think he's also, I might have to designate him my unofficial bouncer. For my Facebook live stream, there was a gentleman, and I'll use that term loosely, who was misbehaving during my last show and just asking and saying inappropriate things during my live feed. We were talking about like economics or cryptocurrency or something, and he was way off topic. Let's just put it that way. And Chris Gaines stepped up and told him that he needs to exit the stream. And I am most appreciative of that service, sir. Tony Romero, hi, welcome to the live chat. David, if I missed anybody, the stream is going by really fast. My cousin Ricky's in the chat. Hi, thank you. So I'm very excited about that. Unfortunately, we have to report that there was yet and still another school shooting today in a public school, and it's just really distressing. And of course, our prayers go out to the parents, the teachers, and the kids at the Douglas High School in Florida. Just really tragic. I have not heard the most recent details, but I know there were definitely some casualties. I will tell you, just as someone who's been in education for a good while now, there are, I don't know one teacher that doesn't have that student that they're apprehensive about. I don't want to use the word afraid, but sometimes that might also be appropriate. And you just don't know how to help. And it's one of the big challenges in public schools today. And public schools are just that, they're public. And so not to cast aspersions on public schools, but parents need to kind of remember that when you are in a public school, when your kids are in public schools, they're in public schools, they're among the public. And that's just something that you have to remember. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I operate at work the same way I operate if I were going to a mall. Same set of rules, same security, same, security measures, and just kind of like being careful. And I'm not suggesting that it's a dangerous place, but it's you're in public. And so your kids need to be aware of that. And you need to be aware of that as a parent. You just need to be aware of that. Here's the other thing. I heard this a couple of times on the news while I was listening to, different parents being interviewed and things like that. And I don't mean to chastise parents, but the last thing you should do if your school is on a lockdown is call your kids. And here's why. And I understand it's a parental reflex because you just want to know if your kid is okay. But what you need to understand about a lockdown is this. I just kind of want to do this brief PSA, so to speak. One of the first things that your children are told to do is to be absolutely quiet. Why? Because if there's an active shooter and we don't know where he is, you don't want to indicate your location. You don't want to draw attention to yourself. If your kid happens to be somewhere hiding, you don't want that phone to go off. So I understand that it's a reflex to call your kid, but I heard a couple of parents say when they were interviewed that they called their kid while they were on lockdown. And I was like, no, just please don't do that. The kid, here is what I would suggest is just as someone who's been in education for 20 years on both sides. I've been, actively in charge of, keeping count of all the kids during drills and things like that in case there is some kind of emergency. And I'm a classroom teacher now. And I can tell you what I would strongly suggest. Happy Valentine's Day to you, Ron Edwards, in the chat. Thank you so much. But what I would strongly suggest is that you, much like in your home, you would come up with an action plan in case there's a fire. And parents, if you have not done that with your children yet, you should do that. You should come up with some type of action plan, unfortunately, if there should be some kind of emergency at school. But what you really shouldn't do, particularly in an active shooter situation, is call. Because those phones, I will tell you as a teacher, those phones vibrate very loud. So even if the phone is on silent, that can be a very strong indicator of where your kid is. And we're told a couple of things. We turn off everything, and we have other procedures that I don't want to necessarily reveal, but your kids know what the procedures are at their particular school. But one thing that is consistent is that you need to be absolutely quiet. So resist the reflex to call. That's just, and I am certain that most kids are going to text their parents anyway. But please don't call, because you just, particularly if you don't know what the situation is, you just don't know if you could be indicating where your child is when to someone, to a bad person. So I just wanted to say that. And Ron Edwards, I don't disagree with you. Ron Edwards in the chat said that we should start arming teachers like they do in Israel. I will tell you, as a classroom teacher and who has had students that I've been legitimately concerned about and afraid of, whether for whatever reasons, I can tell you I would feel a lot more comfortable if I was carrying. And I know that's a freaky thing to say, but I'm telling you, I will give you an example. Just this morning, I have a student who's very angry. I don't know about what, I don't know what his situation is, but he's clearly, angry people when you see them. And as a classroom teacher, angry kids when you see them. You get used to seeing angry kids. And all that happened was someone came and brought him a pass. And he was clearly not happy about it. And he snatched it out of my hand, almost gave me a paper cut. That's not a big deal, but it's aggressive. And that's concerning. So, and listen, I'm not but 5'2", 100 pounds. Are you buying that? Kidding. But I'm not but 5'2", and most of the kids are bigger than me. So, and if a male student wanted to do whatever, they could. That's just to physically overcome me, they could. It's just a fact. And the public schools, they're public. It's a public place. And so, I don't want to scare anybody or have anybody be overly concerned, but my point is that just like any other public place, you should act accordingly. That's why your kids should make sure that things are locked up. You should make sure that you're aware of your surroundings. All of these things, just like you would do in public. That's all I'm suggesting. Anyway, enough of that depressing note. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. When we come back, we're going to talk to Dr. Stephen Jones about the Ultimate Scholarship Guide, which is the title of one of his books. But specifically, we're going to talk about how to get some money to pay for these kids to go to school. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition. If the Russians should not be allowed to interfere in our elections, then why the leftists have no problem with illegal border crossers voting in American elections? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, as Robert can't find a real collusion, Mueller continues in vain to try and find non-existing evidence linking President Trump and the Russians in an effort to influence the presidential elections. I find it ironic that political leftists like Nancy Pelosi, who stood for 8 hours speaking on behalf of illegal border crossers, and California Governor Jerry Moonbeam Brown, who, like Pelosi, considers the rights of illegal border crossers and dreamers to be more important and above the rights of U.S.-born sovereign citizens like you and I, and don't have a problem with illegal border crossers voting in American elections. It is a shame that the policy agendas of the Democrats are so awful that they must rely on allowing illegal immigrants and their dreamer offspring votes in order to cling to political power so they can carry out their dastardly deeds of legislative destruction of our constitutionally limited republic. But try as they may, those hypocrites will ultimately fail, and we shall rejoice as the land of liberty and justice for all is made great again. I'm Ron Edwards, sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
And welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. By the way, Ron Edwards of Ron Edwards Notebook is in the chat. He is a radio host in his own right. The Ron Edwards Experience is on every Friday right before Money Talk with Melanie at 4. So you should check that out. If you like the notebooks, you'll love the Ron Edwards Experience. Trust me. So he is just fantastic. And that voice, man, so cool. Anyway, I just really admire Ron Edwards, and I absolutely love his show and his notebooks that he contributes to Money Talk with Melanie. I deeply appreciate it. Anyway, let me talk a little bit about my guest. Dr. Jones graduated. He cracks me up. Dr. Jones is currently, let me start there, is president of SAJ Publishing. He's also an associate dean of students in the College of Engineering at Villanova University. For 13 years, he worked at Drexel University. Now, Drexel University as director of Success Act 101 program. He's received numerous awards for his dedication to his students. Some of his awards include the Distinguished Toastmaster, Toastmasters District Award winner, National Society of Black Engineers Award, and Black Engineer of the Year Award. Drexel, and it's funny because I said to Dr. Jones before we got on the air that we're from a similar area, the same area, his business at least, and I said, I was just about to say Drexel because anybody who lives in that area just says Drexel and Villanova, and like everybody's supposed to know what that is. You never say like the university part. But anyway, without further ado, Dr. Stephen Jones.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. And is there anything that you want to add to your extensive biography that you'd like my audience to know?
Well, one of the things that I think is key for me in life, I was the first person in my family to go to college. And so I'm always thinking about that, the first person to go to college, and how can I be a resource and support to that student. And the interesting thing is that I've even found that my former students who are now sending their children to college still have questions about college and finding money. So I think it's going to be a great topic today.
It certainly is. And as I was saying to you before we got on the air, that, I find that situation all the time. And you're right, specifically if you have parents who have never gone to school, and we have, of course, plenty of that, they have no idea. I think the process is streamlined, but there certainly are some other more unique ways that your book certainly highlights that you can obtain money for college. So I'm excited to talk about that. First, before we even get to the specifics on what can be done, what would you say are some other challenges that parents have as far as finding money is concerned?
Well, there's a lot of information out there about it, but typically what happens is students wait until the last minute to start applying, and they miss the deadlines that are necessary for them to be eligible for the scholarship. So one of the things that I'm always working with them on is actually setting aside a specific time during the junior year where they start to plan and map out how they're going to go after these scholarships, and actually have a weekly time that's set aside for the pursuit of the scholarship.
That makes a lot of sense, and you're so right. And teenagers, shockingly, tend not to be very communicative when it comes to these types of things, as far as letting the parents know that, their guidance counselor has asked them 25 times when are you going to fill out their FAFSA and things like that.
Right. That's right. And so the other thing that students are in this mode of, they're my parents, they're supposed to do everything for me. And And that's really how they get delayed as well, because they're thinking that the parents going to do all the digging for the scholarships and getting the recommendation letters and writing the letters for them. And now it's becoming their responsibility to make these scholarships happen for themselves and for the colleges that they have applied to. And I can speak to this really recently. I've some of the students that are in the charity program that I have, and they have known over a year that there were specific scholarships that were only at the university's website, and it had specific deadlines. And still, even though I've told them numerous times, they did not make the deadline. So, it's just something that we have to really consistently plan for and have conversations about to ensure that young people get this done.
Well, you know what? It's funny that you say that, and I have to say that I think part of the problem is us as educators, at least in the public school system. I will say over the years, deadlines are kind of a suggestion. Students are not trained to hand in things on time. So, we kind of have ourselves to blame for them not understanding that, like, no, a deadline is a deadline, because of course, it's a whole entire subject, but that's the first thing that pops into my head when I think about, difficulty getting things handed in on time. We basically now, the way the system is set up, give students like unlimited time to do everything. And so now we're kind of changing the game a little bit and saying, well, yeah, now we're in the real world where deadlines actually mean the deadline, and there will be consequences for not meeting the deadline. That's just a kind of a side note, and partially because it's a frustration of mine. I think we need to get back to making students very accountable so that when they migrate into the real world, they're able to understand that you have to turn in applications on time. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's interesting, because at the college level, we're challenging the students with that, especially in the engineering department, because we recognize that they may one day do a proposal that is for several $1 million, and that proposal is due by 11:59 tonight. If you turn it in at 12 o'clock, even though it's a minute late, and it's not accepted. So things are time stamped, and it's basically getting them into that mode for college where they're doing term papers and assignments, and they're time stamped when they're submitted. So, yeah, ultimately, this is something that's important to them. They're trying to decide which college they want to attend, and they want to have the most money available to enter into the college that they decided on. One of the challenges I also see is that students don't often realize, or parents don't realize, that number of scholarships that are only for 1 year. And so, in looking at colleges, sometimes you can get enough money, including those 1-year scholarships, to pay for college for the first year. But the second year, those scholarships are no longer available. They run out the year, and now you need to come up with $10,000 or $15,000 that you weren't thinking about when you got those original scholarships. So I really kind of try to warn parents on how important it is to really know how much money they have and how much money they're going to have in the future for their child's college education.
That's key. And there should be a class, and there probably is in some schools, just on the entire process. I'm sure that some schools have college nights and things like that. But it really is something I think you could do a seminar on, because the entire process is pretty comprehensive.
Exactly. Well, that's what I do all around the country. I do seminars on how to find scholarship money and study skills and college prep, college access, and I work with both the parents and the students to try to give them the information that they need to be successful as they apply. And one of the barriers as we look at the cost of college today, especially up north, these colleges can head from anywhere $40,000 to $70,000 a year. So that's a big expense to try to think about how you're going to make up for the difference of what you potentially could receive for financial aid.
It's true. So since the students are now becoming more responsible for, obtaining funding, what are some, I guess, unique ways or ways that you recommend that that students can establish some good scholarship search methods? What are some good methods you recommend for students?
Well, there are a lot of different resources, of course, through the internet. But one of the areas which a lot of people have lost touch with is the library. There are, in some libraries, they have specific librarians that focus on scholarship and all the information around scholarship. And I think it's a good place to have a formal sit down and research on scholarships. Now you can find them that are, books that are there that are free, but they also point you to a number of websites. So one of the places to have like a strategic plan around scholarship is really going into the local library and finding out what they have and what they know and what's available. So I know that it may sound a little old-fashioned, but it works when students spend the time specifically looking for the scholarships there. There are also a number of different types of resources that are now coming out with apps. Apps you download it onto your phone. There's an app called Scholarly that looks at all the student-specific interests and major and activities, and then lists a bunch of scholarships that the students can apply to. So that's a great online resource. And what I find is once parents or students begin to look for scholarships, the one website leads to another, leads to another. So it's like a cascading effect. And I suggest that the students have on their computer a folder that they keep all their recommendation letters in, that they keep all their essays in. So as they're pursuing additional scholarships, they have this information in one place that they might want to use on multiple applications.
Certainly. And what about a bookmark on their, on their browser? I know from an organization perspective, I have that for certain topics, or particularly if there's a project, websites that you might want to keep going back to and that kind of thing in a folder on your browser.
Yeah, absolutely. That would save a lot of time and energy going back to it. Because, hopefully, like I said, with this strategy, week by week, you're going back again to get this information. So you go back right there to your browser, you click on that, and it'll take you back to continue to do that research. There are also a lot of sororities and fraternities that offer scholarships. And so meeting the deadlines is critical for those scholarships that are offered throughout their different national offices. For example, the Delta, the AKA, Omega Psi Phi, they have these different scholarships that they offer. And I would say it's so important as you look at even the cost of books. Now, I may give away my age, but when I was in college, the books cost $25, $35, $40, and I complained back then. And now the books are $100, $200, $300 per book. And sometimes those books are the only, in a certain class, that book is the only book that's offered for that class. So it's important to get as much of this money as you possibly can to cover those types of expenses that you could have in a given semester.
It's so true. Even when you rent them online, it's still a substantial amount of money. I mean, I teach a class called Computing Environments at Rowan University, and the textbook for that class is like $300, but to rent it is still like $90. It's still, pretty hefty cost for an online book, and you really are literally renting it, and you have to return it. So, and I always tell my students to rent the book. I'm like, everything's online. Don't buy that book. It's way too expensive. But you're so right. But some professors are less than empathetic about that kind of thing, and you literally could do like 2 projects out of that book. The professor's like, I want you to have these 5 books.
I got this whole book, and I'm only doing 2-3 chapters.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. There should be some kind of committee that oversees what you can purchase as a
It's true. Professors really do have like free reign, which is actually what I like about being a professor. But as opposed to being a public school teacher, but really do have pretty much free reign to do whatever with their class, within the confines of the curriculum. But it's pretty broad, and so you have to be aware of that. I know for one class during my doctorate, I had like 6 books, and I think 2 of the books we only went in once for like one project. It's like,
wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So the cost is certainly extensive. Now, are there some key elements? And actually, when I was looking through your book, I didn't even realize that you wrote scholarship letters. I'm so used to just doing the FAFSA, but apparently you can like appeal or ask for scholarships through letters. How does that work exactly?
Yes, I mean there are various foundations and corporations have that you can write to request for support, and the foundations also may have their own scholarship as well that you can they have an application that's online that you can apply to. But I always say you have, but my mom used to always say you have not because you ask not.
So true.
The main thing is asking, making your needs known, telling your story. And your story is all about why you want to go to college, what it's going to do, how it's going to change your life, and how you're going to use your education to change someone else's life. And sending those kinds of letters often can get a response. Now, let's say, for example, they were offering a $1,000 scholarship, but you sent this letter, appeal letter in, and maybe now they're going to give you, they couldn't give you the 1,000, but they'll give you 200 because you just took the initiative. Sometimes when individuals apply for a scholarship, they may not be in the first round, but they can be in the second round. So I always say, even if you don't receive the scholarship, send a thank you letter for them considering it. And you never know if there's some money left over that they don't remember that and actually send some money your way.
For sure. And I also had an expert on in a similar area around maybe 6 months ago. And another thing that he said about that whole second round thing is even the following semester to reapply sometimes because, people drop out and that money goes back and things like that.
Yeah. And that speaks to another element of this whole scholarship discussion, which is that a lot of students, when they get into college, they stop applying for scholarships. And there are a lot of scholarships that you can't even apply to them unless you have a GPA.
Right.
So you need that first or second semester GPA because the scholarship wants to know that you're really a sincere student, and they want to see that you have grades and that you're doing well in school before they actually give you those awards. And then the second part is that often there's scholarships that are in the financial aid office and a student dropped out in the middle of the year, or they just received a scholarship in January. So I say to the students, continually go down to financial aid and have a financial aid counselor at the college that you connect with, that you can regularly stop in and see if there's any new things that have come across their desk that they ought to be aware of. And that's another way to get money while you're in college, because I found a number of scholarships that the student left and it's just sitting there. I was
about to ask you if you had any like idea or estimate of like how much scholarship money kind of gets left on the table every year simply because people don't apply for it. I used to be part of an organization called Concerned Citizens of Whitesboro locally where I live, and we gave out scholarships every year, and every year it was like pulling teeth trying to give away money. So I was wondering if you had any clue as to, or any ideas to how much money gets left on the table, like maybe annually.
I was reading, this was a few years ago, but something like $90 million in scholarships.
Wow.
Go unused, or they are returned, back to the foundation. And really, people ought to be aware that And nonprofits, because you're nonprofit, you're not supposed to profit. So you're supposed to give this money away.
Right.
And so they have a desire, they have an incentive to put the money into your hands.
That is very true. I forgot all. Actually, another organization that I deal with, we had that exact problem, and it is use it or lose it for these organizations. I'm a commissioner for a women's organization, and that's absolutely what happened to us recently. Is we kind of got caught out there and had to give the money back. It's kind of stunk. We wanted to give it away.
And then it makes it difficult for you to request more money. Because why would we give you more money if you didn't use the first money that we gave?
Exactly. Exactly.
There's also, I am the advisor for the National Society of Black Engineers and the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers. And there are also a number of other associations like the Mechanical Engineering Society, the Electrical Engineering Society. So there's student organizations on college campuses that give money to high school students. So I would encourage anyone out there that's listening, whether it's engineering or the sciences or us business, accounting, look for student associations. They could be at the college level, but they might also give out high school scholarships.
Yeah, because I would have assumed that they didn't. Even I was surprised when you said a few moments ago that fraternities and sororities do that. I just kind of assumed you had to already be there to take advantage of that.
No, in fact, my daughter was in Delta Sigma Theta, has a high school academy, and she was part of that academy, and they offer the participants the opportunity to apply for a scholarship as part of Delta Sigma Theta. So that's one of the ways I know that they actually do it as well.
That's fantastic, and had I ever had the opportunity to play, that definitely would have been. I love the Deltas. I just love even their grad chapters really do great work. I appreciate them very much.
And you don't have to be a member to apply for the scholarship.
Right. That makes sense. You know, if they're offering them to high school kids, although I'm sure that they heavily recruit once they get on campus, they're like, you better play Delta. We're up against a break, but when we come back, I'd love to talk about some special tips if you're going to study abroad and how you can get money to do that. Were you up for that?
Sure.
Okay, you're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. Our guest today is Dr. Stephen Jones. He's an educational consultant and author of several books in the educational arena. But today we're discussing the Ultimate Scholarship Guide. And we will be back in a few moments.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to BusinessBuyerAdvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's BusinessBuyerAdvantage.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcast. SackheadsRadio@gmail.com.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch River Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe right here on SHRmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Hey guys, this is Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Check us out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network.
And this is Sackhead Clint, is the best looking one of the bunch. It's my duty to remind you to check us out on our YouTube channel.
And don't forget to check us out on the SHR Media Facebook page. The best looking one? Really? You gotta go there.
Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, right here on the SHR
Choice. I
Media
have the award.
Network.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Okay, we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, and our guest today is Dr. Stephen Jones, who is an educational consultant and author of the book Ultimate Scholarship Guide, and that is what we are discussing today. By the way, Dr. Jones, you're getting a couple of thumbs up in the Facebook chat. One of my faithful listeners, Doug, is like, the guest is a STEM guy, and we do favor the STEM people here.
Wonderful.
We do. We certainly do. My audience knows that I'm a bit of a tech nerd. I teach technology at Rowan. Like I said, I've taught computer programming. Right now I'm teaching finance, schools. I don't understand why I'm certified to teach both, because as you know, there's a chasm between finance and technology, but that's how it is. So I get the privilege of teaching both. But we love STEM people here on Money Talk with Melanie. So before the break, I was asking you about studying abroad and students who want to study abroad. I would imagine that is a bit pricier than studying, here in the United States. And how can you get money for that? Are there special things that you can do?
No, it really depends on how the university has it set up. There are some universities that basically the universities exchange dollars. So they have students coming your way, you have students going their way, and they kind of exchange dollars that way. So it doesn't become an additional cost to the student. And students still have to pay for their living arrangements there, but there is an exchange. So again, it would depend on, most colleges have an international studies or education abroad office that you can go to, and they will tell you all the possibilities that are there for the students to go abroad. Also, another way that the student can get money to go abroad is through their department. So again, I'm going to go back to engineering. So it might be a student wants to go abroad, take some courses in electrical engineering. So he would go and talk to someone in department chair, to see if there are any dollars that could be allocated to help them to go abroad. Or there may be a professor that is already doing research in another country where that student can team up with that professor and do a project. We had that sometimes where students have done it as part of their fall break or their spring break, where it's a 1-week experience, and the professor actually has a grant that they can use for the students to go and take advantage of research or projects that are going on in other countries. So there are some ways to make that happen. The student has to be careful of the year that they're taking their international study abroad, because it could affect the number of courses that they're going to need to take when they get back. So they should always make sure that there's an outline that they have of what they're going to do when they go abroad and the classes that they currently have on their campus. As in any curriculum, the courses that you have at another university, let's say it's the University of South Africa, those courses you get the credits, but you don't get it incorporated in your actual curriculum from the university.
Right.
So if you have A's and B's over there, which is wonderful, in another place, those don't add into your GPA. It just adds to your credit.
Oh, see that now that's a winning tip right there.
Yeah.
I mean that, and I would think that's not, those are that's one of those, like, you don't know what you don't know until you know situations.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think that most students would think to ask how that is going to impact your GPA or not, and that kind of thing. So I think that's an interesting point. What about corporate and federal grants? I feel like federal grants are, more heavily advertised and kind of more well-known. But when you get into the private corporation industry, I would think they're a bit more difficult to find, because it's not something that corporations typically really advertise.
Well, I just tell students, think about every place that they go shopping. Look at all this technology that you're using every day. So there's Home Depot, there's McDonald's, there's different department stores. Many of them offer scholarships that we're not taking advantage of. We're giving them our dollars every day. So we're not thinking, I should check to see if they actually offer a scholarship. And if a parent is part of a credit union, often credit unions have scholarships that students can apply to. Again, all this technology, whether we're talking about the Apple Corporation, Exxon, where your students the parents get gas from for their cars, they offer scholarships. So you have to continually think about what you use every day, what corporations are involved in those, and then do some research to see if they actually offer scholarships. And it's the same thing. Very often those scholarships go totally unused because not enough students are applying.
I'm thinking that McDonald's is the only company off the top of my head that I can think of that kind of everybody knows, because they advertise that that's like a benefit of working there. And they've been doing, my very first serious job was at McDonald's many, many moons ago. And they were doing it back then.
Right.
And now they advertise it, which I think is a great thing. My heart's always kind of warmed by that commercial, which I'm sure is the intent. So I'll go get some fries or something.
Now, people are getting creative today too, and that they are establishing their own GoFundMe account to raise money for themselves for scholarships. So I'm not against that. The students should have a target, and very often you never know which family members might be willing to give toward a GoFundMe account. Some students have gone on the radio to explain what their interest is and what their goals are, and solicited funding that way as well. So just putting yourself out there and making your request known to people. It's just like with the recent election. here, $100 there, $300. It starts adding up over time.
Indeed, it does, and that is certainly, you're right. Like kind of the new thing with in the election cycle and in politics when it comes to fundraising, it is no longer really about the big, huge donors, but about getting a whole lot of people to donate a little bit.
Exactly, and so there's another commitment that the student has to make to, once they establish it, to get it out into their social media, to work with their networks to get word out, maybe even get postcards that they can hand out to individuals, or create a flyer that they can send around with their GoFundMe account to get people to contribute. And or that student might want to target something like, I want to target my books, so I'm going to use my GoFundMe account to ask people to help me to raise money for the cost of the book. And so that's just another way to approach it.
That's excellent. That's an excellent idea. Okay, I really want to ask this question now. Okay, we're like almost out of time, but like looking at the clock. Do I ask? Internet, using the internet to search for money. I'm sure that's probably going to be the first place people look. Are there any do's and don'ts that you have for searching the internet for money, as far as, for scholarship money?
The don't is, don't pay anyone for the scholarship search. That's something that you should be able to do free. It's just a matter of you investing your time to do the searches for yourself. So there's some websites that they will charge you a fee for their scholarship. But why do that when you can actually get it for free? So it's just a matter of making sure that you have a list. And there are a lot of creative scholarships out there. There's scholarships for left-handed people, scholarships for artists, scholarships for individuals who are in fitness. So just making sure that you look creatively. Don't just look in one category. Look at a number of different categories for the scholarship as well.
You kind of have to treat it like like a second job for a kid who already has like one job. Like your second part-time job is to get that money for school.
Yeah.
And like you said, you need to start your junior year. Like, March of your senior year is not when you're supposed to be starting this project.
That's absolutely. You want to be able to position yourself that you can, the college that you identified that you really is your top priority, you want to have enough money to attend that college. And so this is about you as a student investing in yourself, and as a parent investing in having a good timeline for the students to work on these scholarships. And there's also, sometimes there are competitions where you write an essay, and those are good too. That they offer anywhere between $500,000 for winning an essay contest. So I'm not opposed to a student applying for those as well.
And I was talking to a few teachers. They were talking about that very thing, an essay contest, and something else that students had to do. And she was saying it was like pulling teeth to get students to even fill out like a one-page application to like get free money. And it's perplexing. But again, like I said, I kind of blame some of us, educators, because of kind of the trend we have of being kind of relaxed about due dates. I think we need to tighten that up a little bit. That way, go ahead.
Share how they can get a copy of the book?
Please, that was my next question. Absolutely, go ahead.
All right, so it's the 7 Secrets of How to Study Ultimate Scholarship Guide. It's on my website at www.drstephenjones.net, and Stephen is STEPHEN, Jones.net, and you put a / books, and that will take you right to the books. The scholarship book is $19.99. It has over 100 scholarship websites in it, so you can be digging for money forever. And also I have the 7 Secrets of How to Study, and also a parent's guide. So each book is $19.99. When you get all 3 books, it's $50. And schools buy hundreds of these books. Some of them have Title I funds they can buy them with.
Perfect. I posted that in the Facey chat, your website, and I will make sure that I post it in the podcast post-production as well. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Very, very informative. I certainly hope you'll come back.
Absolutely. I'm always available.
Indeed. Have a great night.
You too.
You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette. I want to thank everybody in SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Talk Radio Land for listening, and everybody in the Facey chat. You guys absolutely rock. I appreciate your listening. And tomorrow will be a re-air, by the way. I haven't picked which one yet. And on Friday, I will have Kirill Ravensong back to talk cryptocurrency and the volatility in that market right now. And we'll also dabble in some mining. So thank you so much for listening. Remember, all of this is very important because after all, it is your money. Have a great night.